Hey, before we begin, you know what's up? All links are at packfiller.com, you guys. Pock Sports, people. Style, comfort, fit, safety, all packaged up in great individuality that Pock has brought to the sport. Just ask Jackson. Mm-hmm. He's sporting his new Pock helmet in green, and we haven't seen it in public yet. And I don't know, are we not going to see it until probably spring?
Race day?
Well, I don't know if I have too many other opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wear it on the training. You know?
Yeah, tilt that thing a little bit more towards your face. There you go. Might need a little more cable. Yeah. There, that sounds even better. We a new mic. I got my Jackson got my new Christmas present. He gets the mic.
That's fair.
The other ones are coming, I promise.
He's the predecessor. To the show.
It's a little noise canceling on the side, so that's why if you're off to the side, it doesn't pick it up as well. So anyway, mid read. He has the forward style that I apparently don't have. Coming to a group ride in a start line thanks to Pock. Next, Athletic Brewing people, are you doing it? Are you going dry for January?
No.
I will say this is my first beer since New Year's Eve, so I don't want to talk about it. Or just about prepping for the 2023 season. You know you need to keep the calories in check, right? But you like the flavor. That's where Athletic comes in. Great tasting non-alcoholic brews with or at around 70 calories per can. Get the Athletic through the Packfiller link. You can do it. Next, Untapped Maple, people. Great flavor, great fuel, great products based on pure Vermont maple syrup. I picked up a dialect halfway through that. If you haven't tried it, you are missing out. Small, easily digestible packets of waffles for just about any time, and even ginger maple aid to put into your bottles. It sounds odd, but it's actually pretty good. I've had it once, and I'm going to have it more. So there we go. Let's do this, shall we? I made it through the commercials. I'm doing dry January, except Tuesdays.
I'm doing dry January from bourbon.
Are you? I noticed you didn't reach to the bottle.
And I can't. I need time to heal.
We're going to want that story here shortly.
Yeah.
If you're willing, as much as you're willing to share.
I'm always willing to share.
Nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm willing to tell my patients about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that we're all a year older, perhaps we could just mature things up a bit, eh? No more potty-mouthing, booze-swilling, harsh talking about a silly sport that costs way too much, features majors nerds, and takes up way too much of not only a person's time, but the goddamn roadway. Nah, screw that. Let's just keep on. But better, shall we? Welcome to You Know It, Life on Two Wheels. Welcome to the Packfiller. I'm Pat Bulger, and I'm only going to drop 3 F-bombs this episode. That is the objective. 3. Maximum of 3. And I got to really put myself in a zone. Yeah.
That was close.
It is. It's difficult. I got the twitches. Welcome to 2023. We can't wait to get started. For all we know, Mark Cavendish has been signed to our team this year so far. Wait, does that mean he has to be on the show, right? See what I did there?
Yeah.
He'll never
get
After how many times you burned him.
Mark. Mm-hmm. You know what? And I changed my mind about him as he grew older, as he matured, because he became less of a cocky guy and more of kind of like I don't know.
So maybe.
Heaven forbid adulthood set in. Mm-hmm. Let's see who's here. Panel, please respond with the following. What is your favorite work lunch? Your favorite work lunch. Paul smiled right out of the gates. So let's start with him. He is the guy who's officially been named the mascot/representative of 2023 here in the studios. The year of Paul Maine, Mr. Paul Maine.
The mascot.
I said representative in the same thing because I didn't want you to feel like you were just some furry dancing around the studio.
Furry?
Hey,
Furby?
Furry. No, furry's the creepy people who dress up in the full things and go to conventions and have sex.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, not
You're,
one
you're
of
a
those.
representative of 2023. How are you, man?
Good.
What's your go-to favorite work lunch?
Well, it has been even before I started working.
Really?
Yeah. Peanut butter and jelly every single day. It drives my wife crazy.
PB&J.
Every single day.
I mean,
Raspberry
I respect
jam.
that.
Yeah. Crunchy or smooth?
Smooth, always smooth. Wow. Yeah.
You know what's... Continue.
No, that was it.
Okay, so my grandpa is 94, and he is the same way. And we added it up, and I'm like, how many PB&Js do you think you've had in your life? And it's thousands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, that's insane to think about. You've had thousands of PB&Js.
I can remember since kindergarten, so 55 years I've been...
Yeah,
almost
at
have
times,
peanut
let's
butter
just
and
say
jelly.
300 days even. Like, let's chop out
Yeah.
65, which is quite a few. You
Yeah.
probably did more than that.
Yeah.
That's a ton. Somebody added up.
300 times 55.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Okay,
I want to know this.
Calculator. I got to get it. Why won't my calculator come up? Oh, because I didn't hit C.
Because you're an English teacher.
Yeah. 300 times 50 times what?
55.
I have it.
I can't believe it took us that long to come
What
up
is
with
it?
16,500 PB&J
It's
sandwiches.
insane.
It's
And
a lot of
probably
raspberry
more.
jam.
Yeah, it is.
That's your.
Yeah.
You're almost fit to be on one of those Smuckers ads that Al Roker calls the people when they're really old. You should.
Oh
put
yeah,
that
I
in.
remember
You should
he
put
used
that
to-
in. Like apply for it and say I've had 17,000
approximately. Yeah.
PB&J
Yeah.
sandwiches. Advertise me, damn it! I'm a spokesperson.
But I don't do Smuckers.
But don't call me a mascot.
I won't
you don't do Smuckers.
No. Too much
Really?
sugar. Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's no side dishes or anything like that?
No, just one peanut butter and
Just
jelly.
one beer sandwich?
When I was in my
Shut
20s,
up.
it was just two in it in lunchtime.
Okay.
And a glass of milk.
Oh, that's in the morning.
I don't drink milk
Such a
unless it's in coffee or
you're such
bowl
a
of cereal.
farm boy.
Yes, I am.
And hard to think he's so difficult to stray away to
I
new
know.
traditions when he's
Yeah.
been eating the same
Same
lunch for 50
Every day.
Never get rid of anything
Crust
that
on or
works.
off?
Always crust. Crust is
Yeah.
good.
How do you cut it?
I don't. It's a whole
whole
sandwich.
sandwich.
I've mastered
do you eat
the
it like
eating
that,
of
or do you
Savage.
tear it off in pieces?
No, I bite into it, hold it.
Okay.
And because of my
This is
trade,
fascinating. Yeah.
I always use my plastic bag it comes in
Uh-huh.
as a holder. Otherwise, because I
You don't
don't,
wanna
always,
get
I'm
dirt
not
on
always able to wash my hands at work. So
This
that's-
reminds me of a fact that probably doesn't really apply to this situation. But when I was in school, I learned, because you were saying you just take the whole sandwich.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But apparently, if you back in a time when one of the plays that I was doing was written, apparently if a woman was to take a bite of a piece of bread and they left like a bite mark,
Yeah.
like in the shape of a C, apparently they could be like arrested.
Mm.
Yeah. I know it doesn't apply to the situation,
No, it's
but
a fun
that just
fact.
reminded me.
It's a
Yeah.
fun fact.
That's really messed up.
It is.
Wow. Okay. We got a lot out of that. I mean, it's like,
It's just a simple PB.
Let's
and
do a
J.
whole
Yeah.
session on this.
yeah. Next, he's the guy who might have had one too many on New Year's Eve, Mr. Sam Waple. How are you,
God,
man?
solo partying. I'm way too old. Apparently 2023, I'm old.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Who would have thought 32? It's all downhill from here, Jackson.
Yep.
From here, I'm 23.
I know. I'm telling you. You have only 9 more years.
Yeah.
And then it's all downhill.
What's your go-to lunch?
Man, it's always changing because I eat whatever is around.
Yeah.
I'm the garbage goat.
There's no favorite, like, oh, yes.
No, I mean, a favorite would be like a leftover salad, because we'll do like hearty salads,
Yeah.
right? And so kale, right? We were making fun of me for that before the show. Yeah. So I do a lot of that, but lately I've been doing a lot of like this plant protein, and then I do blueberries and like milk alternative, and I just blend that up and pound that.
Milk alternatives.
God, I know. I am like Satan to you.
No.
I'm like the
No,
Antichrist.
I think you're wasting your money. Get the real shit. All right. Milk, not kale. That used to be when I was a pantry cook. I'd line on the deli section. I would use kale to decorate over the ice, so you wouldn't have to look at ice when you had got your meats
Yeah.
and cheeses. Kale was decorative, was not to eat.
Oh my
You think somebody just accidentally took a bite and went, oh, man, we got to
It's
start.
It tastes so
Edible.
crappy. It's got to be good for you.
Oh,
I can sell them on this.
yeah.
Third, he's the guy who's working on a bigger shoe collection than any major hip hop artist out there, Mr. Jackson Bulger. How are you, man?
Maybe. Yeah. I'm good. Let's see. Work, lunch. Yeah, I don't really have like a traditional. I used to take Hot Pockets a lot. Those are pretty good.
There is
yeah.
only 2 temperatures for Hot Pockets.
Surface of the sun and too cold.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's
I remember those just from the McDonald's fruit pies. That's why the
Yeah.
only reason why I know that.
Yeah.
it's funny because I typically like have the same, meals throughout every single week. That doesn't really change that much, but it's interesting to start seeing like once the new year starts, seeing how coworkers will start to like instead of eating what they usually do, they switch to more of like a healthy alternative,
Mm-hmm.
and then that'll probably just go away.
Yeah.
As time goes
It
on.
doesn't last.
Yeah, they all tend to do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I'm kind of in that same boat.
It's
of-
everybody. It's like that's the biggest like mistake that you can make in a new year is like set these goals that are just huge. And it's, no, set small, attainable. Check it off. Do the next.
Yeah. I love my wife to death, but she's that all or nothing kind of a
Yes.
person. She's just like,
Yeah.
that's it. We're not drinking until April. And then Friday, she's like, get wine on the way home.
And then
That
it's
sounds
like,
really
well,
familiar.
I already broke once, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Next
tried.
year, I'm serious about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Me, I'm the guy who likely is making promises he can't keep. There we go. I'm Pat Bulger. My favorite work lunch is 1,000%. My wife makes the best tuna fish sandwiches on the planet. Oh, you're not a tuna guy? Sam, you're not even a pescatarian?
Like canned tuna? No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Trader Joe's albacore canned tuna
Albacore's the
with
secret. White.
with mayo, pickles, and red onions, and a little squirt of mustard. I think she does in it. It is the
I
best.
should bring in
and
an
cheddar,
article that'll
cheddar on
ruin
top.
that for
Don't you dare! I have very little left, and I do sun chips because I love sun chips and a crunchy apple. Right now, Pink Lady apples are the bomb right now.
Honeycrisp.
Pink Ladies are crunchier than Honeycrisps.
All right. Well, I will ask this: do you have a lunchbox? You seem
No,
like
I
being
have
a
a
teacher.
lunch. I have a
Yeah,
refrigerated lunch bag
I
that
have,
you put in the freezer and it makes it cold.
Yeah.
I have a hydro flask one.
Yeah, Jackson got a Hydro Flask one for Christmas.
Wow, this is next level. Never have I ever.
You've
Mine-
never had a lunchbox.
No. Well, probably when I was in elementary school.
Wow, what do you put? What do you put your food in?
My backpack.
You just like
Why would
put
I put an
loose
extra
food.
bag in there?
You put loose food. That's psychotic behavior.
I have a 1969 Wild Wild West lunchbox
you're not
I use
helping
every
Lacey
single
either
day.
here.
Yeah, laced with lead.
Probably is the paint on it still.
Probably is.
But the paint's worn off. It is seriously a vintage lunch
Wow.
barrel I still have from
One of those big old
1969.
coolers.
Yeah, I remember.
No.
But
No,
the,
it's got the old, it's got Adamus Gordon and the old Wild Wild West. You guys wouldn't know, but it was a early like CIA. You don't remember Wild Wild West?
Wild Wild West.
I'm going to buy a
Oh
lunchbox.
wow! Look
That's
at
my
Wild Wild West. I
2023.
can't believe I'm that much older.
I was
But-
just about to describe it as the map burning at the beginning, but that's Bonanza, right?
Yeah, that's Bonanza. Yeah. Wild Wild West. He was like a secret agent for the U.S. government in the West period.
Yeah.
And he had all these cool gadgets and
Will
stuff.
Smith and Kevin Kline kind of screwed that up.
They did that.
Yeah.
They took it from the series. So.
Yeah. So that's our lunches. Hey, so we'll catch everybody next week. And that was a good show. Hey, let's recap a little, shall we? Let's have some fun with New Year's Eve. And it because it does affect our cycling lives.
Yes.
Let's talk about cycling and our New Year's Eve. Who did something they regret?
Me.
Sam, what did you do?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to be in bed at 9:30, always asleep early, even New Year's Eve. Well, I mean, not always, but always on New Year's Eve. It's just not my thing. And I found myself in a real pickle. I was solo drinking. I had my brother over with
Was it
sister-in-law.
intentional solo drinking,
No.
or did you just look around and nobody else had a glass?
Well, it was intentional. Like, I'm going to have a drink tonight.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like a good time. I brought up
Yeah.
a few things of bourbon. Apparently, my brother was still too hungover from the previous week of drinking with in-laws that for self-medication that he's like, there's no way that's making it into my body tonight. So I was solo drinking bourbon, and I will just cut it short and admit
you didn't have a good night.
I had the spins, which have not happened since like college.
And for those of you listening who are about to text into the show or to send us a message and stuff like that, relax. Sam's in control.
With one night.
He eats kale, for God's sake.
And some kind of powdered milk thing.
Yeah, milk alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my wife, we wake up the next morning and I'm like, I don't think I can get out of bed. And she's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, it was the bourbon.
Never experienced that. How about you?
Spins? No, never.
What's crazy is like
Where
the
you've got
quantity that I
overconsumed?
drank
No.
was not
As-
that much.
As Sam, as you said, one leg off the bed on the ground.
Yes,
just to
to
stop the
ground
ground
yourself.
Yeah.
I'm push on it, trying to keep it from
Yeah.
wobbling.
Oh man, privileges of youth or the idiocy of youth. I stayed up pretty late, but other than that, I was a pretty good boy.
Pretty late?
I made it till like almost 1 o'clock.
That's insane.
That's good for me. Yeah.
You guys the text chain was lighting up.
Well, that's Jack.
You know what's hilarious too is you can tell how drunk Jack is because there's like it's somewhat coherent and then like by the end it's like
with his elbows.
oh my god, it's like there's
Voice
periods in
command.
the middle of
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He dictates it, so then he's
Does he
slurring
dictate
speech,
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Siri's going, oh crap, and we'll just have to go back in his history and see what he's trying to say.
He's funny.
Go fishing
good.
and fenders.
Yeah.
I know. You try to piece it together and it's like I have no clue where he was going with this.
No, I said I'm going on a bender.
Oh.
Yeah. Now I need some new fenders.
Did anybody do something new?
No.
For New Year's? No, all old
I went
traditions.
to bed before midnight, and I always make it to midnight.
Yeah.
This is the first year I went to bed early.
I almost didn't. I almost went to bed at 11, but then something happened. I think it was honestly the train wreck that is Miley Cyrus and then the other one. And I switched back between the two networks going, this is so bad, it's brilliant. and then Duran Duran was going to come on, and I'm like, I got to stay for Duran Duran.
Did you make it?
Duran Duran. I did. I made it. Yeah, made it
That's
through Duran
incredible.
Duran.
There's no way I would have made it.
They had two girls singing the backup of Wild Boys, but it sounded like the original song of Wild Boys, which makes you know that they're lip syncing everything. So it's just like, Wild Boys, Wild Boys, Wild Boys. You're like, no.
No, it's not coming from you.
Yeah.
They were hoping you were intoxicated at that point.
Well,
And
I
it'd
might
go
have
right
been.
over your head.
Maybe a little.
Might have been. Anybody broke a resolution yet?
I didn't make one.
I never.
Well,
made
we
one.
made a couple on the show last week.
I also didn't make one then.
No, I think
I don't think we
Good
did.
point.
Yeah.
You were here.
mine were also very attainable.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't really make resolutions because I
Really?
liked the last year and I don't want to. Don't want to have to change my life
I
because
don't
I like
like
last
the word
one.
resolution.
I like that
Mine is
attitude.
just like personal
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
I just have like personal goals for the next year.
Yeah.
It's just self improvement.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and if I fail, then to hell with it.
Yeah.
It's not it.
My wife and I are doing dry January, except Tuesdays.
I won't participate.
No, and you know what? It's actually, I'm only 3 days into it, and my Whoop scores have gone
Through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
through the roof.
Your sleep quality goes up so much if you just don't drink.
Yeah,
That's all.
but
It's not worth it.
it's the this is like gonna be the.
You know what W.C. Fields says?
What?
Or maybe it might have been. I think that's who it
Winston
was.
Churchill, maybe. Or?
It might have been Winston Churchill. I feel sorry for people who don't drink because when they wake up, that's the best they're going to feel the whole day.
Moving on, how's the important question? How is training kicked off? Do you guys officially kick it off, or are you just like, yeah, I'm continuing on, or you're like, I'll start when I feel like it? Hi, Jackson.
No, I've been doing it for the past 3 weeks now.
How many days a week?
more than that, but like 3.
Have you hit 900 watts yet?
900, yes.
God, you savage.
Yeah. And that was just
He's like, oh, for more than 10 minutes? Not yet, but
That was yeah.
that was, but
I had to scratch my balls, so I got out of the saddle.
but that was for personal, just personal motivation. So,
oh my gosh.
but yeah, it's been good. 2 days riding, 1 day at the gym. So
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So
It's a
well
start.
rounded.
Yeah. You guys, Paul and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indoor training, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Still counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing 2 days. I mean, I do 2 different workouts on the same, like within.
Do you
Nice.
split them? Like you'll do one in the morning and one at night?
No, I actually
stand a
do.
chance.
It depends on what I want to do. Like those different courses on RGT. There's a flat course that like sprinting,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do like warm up for a lap, and then they'll have like the leaderboard.
Yep.
And I learned that at 4:00 our time, because CET, that's
Mhm.
Central European time, it's midnight and they turn over, and so the boards get erased. Because I was in the top 3, and the next thing I'm cruising through when I was in the top 3 of the sprint, and I looked and it's like, dude, 90 something. It's because I wasn't sprinting. I'm like, crap, I got to do this again. So of course I did it again. But I do that. I do this flat section, and then I've been doing Pinza, Pinza, whatever. But it's part of the course of Strada Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like 2 segments in it, and some climbing. There's climbs, plenty of punchy climbs through there. And I'll go back and forth like I started today on that one, and then I did that for an hour, and then went back to the flat course, kind of got my legs lubricated and hooked on a group that was doing about, or for me, 3 watts per kilogram, and then I was doing my sprints and trying. They'd catch me because those.
Are you
bots,
on a trainer or rollers?
A trainer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah.
And so then it's like motor pacing. You hit these sprints, and then the same group is keeping these bots are keeping the same, and then I have to hook on, and I'm like, you're anaerobic and stuff, and it's like motor pacing. So I like it.
It sounds a lot like Swift. Let's be honest. Can we be honest?
Yeah, but see, here's
just
the thing.
It's just not the Mercury Islands where you're seeing all the lights and glitters,
And
like you're riding
dinosaurs.
through it, like you're riding through a casino.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I like the shorter courses, and in my
you
opinion,
do. See, I'm the opposite. I don't
Uh-huh.
like seeing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
well, I don't even care.
You're not
about
looking
all that.
at it, yeah,
No,
yeah.
to me, it's like I'm looking at all the data for me to ride, and these courses are perfect for what I want to do.
Yeah.
And especially because if you're doing intervals, those circuits are perfect for that, because you have segments that you can hit and then I have my best time still recorded and stuff, and then I'll try and break these records or something on the segments.
I got to go back.
So
I got to go back and do a little bit more. I've been getting 4 to 5 days a weekend, thanks to Teammate Guilt, because you guys, I see you guys, or you
That's
posted it, and
awesome.
like I think it wasn't New Year's Day. Was it New Year's Day?
yeah, yes.
Who's
ridden?
who's ridden today? And it was Ghost. Everybody's quiet. And Paul posts a picture, screenshots of 2 rides, and I'm just like, oh, honey, I gotta go ride. She's like, I thought you were riding today. I wasn't. Paul did. She's like, you're obsessed. I'm like, tell me something I don't know. Make me a tuna sandwich, please. I decided I'm going to. I did a race on Saturday, a Zwift race on Saturday. Longer distance race. Usually they're like 9 miles or something like that. This one was not much longer. I mean, it was 18, but and with some actual, quote unquote climbing in it. So I think I got 8th or something like that in that, which is, and I'm still racing C's. So yeah, I need something on at least one day a week where I'm doing that competitive nature. And I think it'll help. So, but I don't know about you guys. I've planned my training through the beginning of April, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What the plan is. Now I don't 100% stick to it, but I'm kind of. I've done the pre-programmed insert your name, your weight, your goals here, and it spits something out for you. And I've decided I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle this year and see if I can use my old skills.
That's what, yeah. I just switched to that too. That's how I'm going. I feel good about it. The nice thing about a different training one is that they give you like, hey, we recommend that you do this day. So there's a few things that I'll do like, oh yeah, no, that would be a better idea than what I had planned.
Yeah.
But
like throw me something where I need to work on maximum aerobic power.
Exactly.
I'll look up that category and I'll find a couple to do or something like that. But yeah. Before we get to the happy part, Paul, could you tell us about your trip and when you're going and what you're doing?
to hell with you.
Yeah. I'm leaving
Yeah. Here comes
week
one of the
from
F-bombs.
today. I will be I will be down in Palm Desert with my bike and just me and my bike. My wife isn't coming, so I have plenty of time to train. The weather there is no obligation.
This section
Yeah.
sponsored by
Okay, okay.
GetMarried.com.
Okay. Yeah.
But if that's the case, like, I'm curious how you are, because if I have total freedom in a weekend and it's like, oh my god, I could do back-to-back 6-hour days.
Well, I contacted Stu, who's down there. He's I think 10 years older, 10 years older than I am.
Yeah.
And I've ridden with him since 1986. And he's down there, and there's a group, Palm Desert Cycling Club.
Mm-hmm.
They
I
have
thought they all play golf down there.
they have a big cycling club, and then they'll do 75-mile rides.
That would be better because like that's the thing is I don't do 6 days. If my wife's gone, I'm just like nah, or I just won't ride at all. So if you have like something to hold you accountable,
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that was the whole purpose
He
of going
doesn't
down
need
there.
that, though.
Yeah.
He doesn't need that.
I
He'll
would
just
I
go
would
and
find
ride.
out.
Yeah.
I'd just go to a bike shop in the old days before we had all the contacts
Yeah.
and all the WASD stuff that
The
we have
schlang
nowadays.
doodles,
The
and the
Wazdoozles.
hung
Yeah.
scrabblers, and the
Yeah.
Franz Schmaglers.
Wow.
But it's desert, warm. It starts off like it's in the 40s in the morning, and then it's like 68 to 75. I think the day before Christmas was 80.
Yeah.
So
Sounds
I'll be
nice.
there till
Doesn't it?
I'll probably ride that Wednesday, and then I'll ride that Tuesday. I go back on a Wednesday, so early in the morning. So I'll have probably 7 days of riding in the
He's
sun.
going to come back flying. I quit.
Well, then it's going to go all to crap because
Yeah.
then we're back here. But
Yeah, but you'll have a good base.
no, I'm thinking selfishly.
yeah.
You're going to go and get a 7-day bonus. And me, because I don't care about any of you guys, me,
Well, you're in similar categories here.
I'm stuck here. But I'm technically the slowest at the table here. Well, not
It just
technically.
depends
Legally,
on the-
realistically, 100%.
Legally?
Yeah. and you guys are going to get faster because you have time. And Paul's going on train camps. I'm going to suck.
No, we'll see.
That's it.
But I'm getting older, so I have to work harder at it.
Show's over.
I quit.
Oh, man. Is anybody committed to a race yet?
No.
What do you mean by that?
Like, signed on the dotted line?
No.
Like,
No. I mean, for instance, I know I'm gonna like what races I'll do. You know, like I have a very strong feeling I'm gonna be there for the Wednesday night mountain bike races here
Yeah.
locally, and then
Thursday night throwdowns.
Yep.
all those, and then our RC3 locally. But
Have you heard? Has anybody heard about what that's status of that race is?
I
haven't
know,
heard
but I'm
anything.
really hoping
best of my knowledge, I have a WSB BA meeting this week.
Oh, good.
For those of you who are listening, going, huh? Washington State Bicycling Association, yours truly is now a board member. Boy, they were hurting.
Sucked you in.
They were hurting.
Yeah.
Apparently, they'll take anybody.
Yeah.
I do remember in the last meeting they talked about that. The status is that it still goes. So
Good.
hopefully.
Yeah, on the calendar, I looked at it like 2 days ago. Tour de Bloom, Walla Walla are for sure on the list. I think Independent.
Independence.
Are we not following rules anymore? He said Tour de Bloom.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. I
I don't see any series. I think Squim's on there. One Squim.
Yeah, they're always going to be on there because of Audi, Mercedes now.
Let's go to our first topic for the evening, brought to us by our friends at Wahoo Fitness. The pure home for getting ready and getting faster. Trainers, computers, monitors, and all the best tech outside of Tony Stark's basement.
nice.
Superhero joke. Nobody got my reference.
Oh, my God.
There
Use
for
the
it.
link at packfiller.com. First topic of the evening. Paul brilliantly came up with this one. And this is kind of based upon, I asked you guys if you'd signed up for anything. Are you willing to sign up for a road race, crit, gravel event, Fondo, or are you more to pick one or over the other? And I think you said it easier. It's like in terms of, do you find it easier to sign up for pin on your number,
Competitive.
events because there's less pressure or the atmosphere is more enjoyable, the access to the events, let's be honest, there's more of the non-competitive events out there these days, or what reason? Personally, I always find the issue of road events being pretty much the same people at the same time at the same events as last year, and that gets a little bit monotonous. I'm going to say it, monotonous, where you're seeing the same faces. And that gets a little tiresome after a while, and because the road scene has shrunk so much. But our mountain bike season is like that. Our Wednesday night series, I find myself competing against the same guys with full suspension bikes and flat pedals riding away from me on technical stuff. And it gets a little like, okay, you're going to beat me again because the course still has 5 rock gardens and I have clip-in pedals and a hardtail bike, and I'm not very good technically. So I just want it all to be about me, apparently. Talk to me about why you're more apt to sign up for one over the other, and is it a trend, or is it something you're just kind of, hey, I want to do this for a while?
See, I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that the road scene is monotonous, because what I feel like is I very much feel the exact opposite, because I think that road racing in particular is so variable.
Sure.
Like, so many different things can happen on a race that can change the outcome of it. I mean, like, for instance, last year when we were racing the RC3, I cramped at the finale. I was in first, but if I wouldn't have cramped, I would have stayed there.
Yeah.
So I find that the most interesting, because in my opinion, I would definitely sign up for a crit first, because I think those are just like all out exciting.
Yeah.
Really, that's
Yeah.
that's highest on your pecking order. Really,
Yeah.
okay.
I like the quick, like,
High energy.
high energy and like maximum focus are the things that I really enjoy about it. And then I would probably pick a road race second.
Okay.
And flashback to the podcast 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't be saying that, but
No way.
I think the high competitive nature of road racing is what really draws me in personally.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I would.
You sign up for everything. You just don't
I
go.
sign up for anything, and I just like don't pay or don't show up. Yeah, but I'll support whatever.
Yeah.
If you have something you want me to support,
Are these tax write-offs?
shoot us a
Is that what
text
you're
and all.
doing? Yeah.
You'll give
Exactly.
donation money.
Yeah, I'll donate.
It says team.
Oh my gosh.
Ambassador
Yeah,
Cycling
exactly.
in all caps. It's just like it's free advertising.
It's free advertising.
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah, not there. Don't know what the advertising's for.
Yeah.
No, I've thought about this a lot. So, previously, I will always say Criterium as well.
Okay.
Short, sweet, to the point. And just like being with, in front of the crowd in the 1-2s, oh man,
Sure.
it is the best. Like, I didn't really care for crits until I was a 1-2, and it's like, you're the show, and it's usually towards nighttime and all that, and it's like,
That is a fun experience.
it is much fun, and I do miss that. The last crit that I had was Derby days, and it was a freaking blast. But also the last crit that I did, I was sitting top 5 going into the last lap. I pulled up the parachute and went to the back, because I was like, I'm done, because I'm like, I don't want to risk it.
Really?
I don't have that edge anymore, and that's why I'm like, I'll do some stuff, but I just don't really see myself doing that anymore. Because I don't have that, killer instinct, which I used to have. And so, yeah, I'm like more gravel. And I know that's lame in some ways, because everybody's all, oh, yeah, gravel movement.
I'm a privateer.
Yeah, I'm a privateer.
Yeah.
I got to grow out my privateer stash again. But, no, like, I think that gravel is just such a cool... It's what road racing was during Voldemort's era, in the sense that, yeah, like, so think about, you get to start with all of these, Peter Stetina and Ian Boswell, these Grand Tour level people that you're starting with, and it's a cool thing, even though, God, I'm never going to see them. They're gone in the first 10 minutes. But still, it's like Lachlan Morton, that whole crew shows up, and it's like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just a fun experience, right? And then you get to do whatever you can do that day.
Yeah.
And I've always been somebody that's more motivated by my own personal drive, as opposed to like what place I get. I could really care less, as long as at the end I'm shelled.
Okay.
That's all I care about. So like a gravel race will do that for me. So gravel's one.
Before you go, Paul, that gravel's one.
Gravel's one.
Okay.
That's like the one that I would...
You can keep going.
No, that's it. I would just say
Okay.
like gravel is number 1 and Criterium is number 2 for what
Okay.
I would sign up for.
I do have a quick news flash here in terms of what's going on with the sport you love so much. Unbound Gravel rolls out major changes for the 2023 edition. This is from our friends at Velo News. For the first time since 2006, they are adopting changes to the mass start format, separating the elite and amateur fields at the start line of the 200-mile race. Now, that's the 200-miler. Additionally, to be considered for the elite categories, riders will be thoroughly vetted by the Unbound event staff. And on top of that, I don't know if I have any type of maybe like, on top of that, everybody, guess what? Finally, at last, aero bars will be prohibited from the elite men's and women's who make the cut.
Good.
So, for those of you at home probably screaming at your computers right now going, no! no, you guys are traditionalist poop heads. I'm like, no, aero bars are sketch and they look stupid unless you're in a time trial. In my personal opinion, but I am the same way you are. I'm so mentally unstable. It's just I didn't realize how messed up I was until I started doing this show with you guys around me going, really? What's wrong with you?
Pat,
and
that's messed up.
I just out of nowhere I snap at somebody, and at other times I'm feeling really sorry for myself. I go into a race and I'm super psyched, and then I'm like going, no, you suck.
The emotional imbalance.
I'm a freaking Jackson. I'm sorry. Please be like your mother. Because I went into the only true crit I did this year thinking I was about to go full Daniel LaRusso and at the end of the race throw my bike into a dumpster. The day before was the worst day I've ever had as a cyclist in a long time. I used to show up at races and be just like, hey, everybody, you're all going to get at least second. Okay? That's the best you're going to do. And nowadays I'm just like going, I hope I make it to the first feed zone. And I have had this metamorphosis, but it's not a good. It's like reverse.
Here's the problem. You and I are the polar opposite.
Yeah.
You had success as a child. I did not.
I had success up until my early 20s. Oh my god! Right until the time my son was born.
Yeah. Well, that'll happen. It was early 20s. I didn't know it was early 20s.
Well, no, it was late.
It was late 20s.
Whatever, it's all the same. But my point is,
I was 30.
Never a winner. And so for me, I'm great at getting whatever other place.
And so that the crit I did this year, I was like, I'm going to suck. This isn't going to be good. I went in with no expectations. 3 laps in, I was going, I feel really good. When's the race going to get fast? I still feel really good. When's the race going to get fast? Oh, I bumped a guy's tire in front of me, but I've been riding a bunch of gravel, so I feel fine bumping a guy's tire when everybody around me is going, whoa, hey, ah, ooh, ah. That's what roadies do when you bump anything. It's just like, oh my God, we're all going to die. It's like, no, dude, we're fine. I just, he stood out of the saddle in the middle of a corner. But anyway, and that crit felt great. In fact, I finished that crit going, who doesn't? But I could have gone a little faster. I wish I would have attacked maybe once or twice. But it probably wasn't that fast of a race. See, there's the demon on my shoulder. It was a slow race, Pat. That's the only reason I did well. So I'm really hesitant to sign up for those type of races because I'm worried about sucking.
Yeah.
A gravel race, I can go out and I can do it. And Paul, you're going to laugh at me, but I can go out and I can do it. And like Sam, you were saying, I can race until the wheels come off, almost literally, and just shell myself and come across the line going, I crushed this. I did, I did Leadville in under 12 hours. I did this. I did that. I did the other thing. But is that enough? I don't know. And Paul, you're going to tell me it's not enough.
Well, I actually, when I came up with this topic, I was thinking about you. I heard somebody talking about gravel and Grand Fondos doing a lot, big numbers and stuff, and road cycling. I mean, there's a lot of people who could sign up and race and pin a number on, but why is it? It's the expense of a Grand Fondo or a gravel are huge. They're more than a road race, and I'm like, it's not a financial thing. So it has to be on an individual basis. And why is it that not so much anymore, but triathletes, all these people, you would see people that you think you shouldn't even run, you're going to blow out a knee. Yeah. But they were doing it.
Yeah.
It's just that participation. I think road cycling has developed where it's not a participation, it's a judgment. And that's how you feel. It's like, I used to be here, and everybody surpassed me. And my question to you then is that same drive that you can do a gravel race until the wheels come off. You could have done that same thing in the road race when you pulled out.
But
you could have chased.
The wheels had come off.
No,
they had come off.
It was more up here.
Oh, it was 1,000%.
Because I can guarantee you, when we trained on that course, they never came off, and I didn't go any harder than I did in that race. You chose to step off, and that's my opinion. You chose to step off, and so it's just a matter of the mindset. Because here's the thing: when we talked about cyclocross, I'm going to bring it back to the cyclocross at Degum, that one race. All 3 guys, the big 3, kept saying, "I was done. and then all of a sudden something happens, and then they were there. And Wout was willing to give up, and the next thing you know, somebody falters. You can't, in a bike race, you can't stop trying. And I don't know why that environment of bike racing is like, oh, I look like a clown, or I'm going to get pulled, or and you don't have that. Like in a Grand Fondo, it's like you're trying to stay with that front group, and you get popped. You're like, oh, well, hey, I'll just hang out with this
There's
guy.
a safety net.
You don't, yeah.
There is a safety net. You're right.
Yeah, and it's all about, I think, how fragile we are as individuals when you hop on a bike. Because
you can say me.
I think
It's okay.
there's
As we
I think
are.
there's huge.
Pat.
All of us. I think there's a huge crowd. That's why the numbers in gravel and Grand Fondos and mountain bike used to be that way.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the short little story that one of the
3 hours later.
that's me.
Yeah.
So this guy I worked with at Voltric. His brother owned the shop, but this is before I started working at Voltric. He came in and I sold him a mountain bike, and it was a giant iguana, which was like entry-level mountain bike. And he did the WIM series, and he loved it. And he goes, "Why? It's awesome." And then the next year when he did it, he's doing the downhill back before suspension was a big deal.
Sure.
And this guy in the beginner level turns around and he goes, "You going to go down that thing with that? Good luck." And that shattered him.
Yeah.
And it's like, screw this attitude. It was all for one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was all about the winning. And that's, I think, the difference between gravel. People are going, oh, well, I didn't go as far as I thought, or I hung like 20 minutes with the lead group. I got beer at the end of the show here, and we're good. But
cyclists are such pricks.
well, I think
yeah.
I think it doesn't matter what sport it is, and you can probably
Yep.
soccer's the same thing. You start getting to elite level, you push to that level. It's serious stuff. Like it's really serious.
Yeah, they're like when you get to a specific level when it comes to soccer, they don't care about you anymore. They just care about, can you play for my team well?
Yeah.
Oh, you have emotions? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
And teammates.
Teammates don't care about you either. As long as you're the one getting the next contract, that's all that matters.
Wow.
And same with in baseball. There's a local guy who used to pitch here at Gonzaga University. He's about my age, and when he played in high school, it was like a team. But when he was pitching in college, when you were above somebody behind you wished you had a bad game so they could get in and get above you.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of competitiveness.
That's sport.
Yeah, it is sport.
Right. Talk to me about the variety, though. Is it? I mean, I know Jackson's got a little variety in him. Paul's, dyed in the wool roadie over here. Sam, you and I are kind of playing a little of the field. Jackson will probably maybe break out his gravel bike, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the variety of events. For example, I was thinking to myself, there are some gravel events I did last year that I'm like, no, I don't want to do that one again. I did that one last year. I know what the course is like. I don't want to have to do that climbing without, especially when I know it's there.
Yeah.
Like that course was brutal. I don't need to do it again, and I just like to split it up. How amazing would it be in the road calendar if we had that option? We don't, unless you really hop into the old family truckster and start moving around.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be a
man?
Yeah.
You'd have to travel long distances.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, it was like, oh, that's not tailored towards me. I'm not doing that weekend.
Baker City. I'm thinking about that. But
Oh, yeah.
from what I understand, for those who don't know that's one of our regional stage races.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Gets a lot of people, Canadians.
Is it
and-
still happening?
Yes.
Okay.
It wants to be a part of
We have
Tour de Bloom, Tour of Walla Walla.
Yeah.
And so it's a stage race like you earn points doing it.
Yeah.
Although it's not in the state of Washington. But.
And it's 3 stages. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 4 stages. And the final stage is a big mountain climb. So right, and that's what
Is
I
it
was
for-
like.
For everybody, or is it just the upper categories?
No,
I feel
it's
like,
all categories.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So is anybody trying to think of mixing it up, or Paul? You mentioned that you've got your road events on the calendar. That's what you're sticking with. You're this is how it's always been. This is how it shall be. You're the Mandalorian of this site of this.
You're such a purist.
This is the way.
This is the
yeah.
way.
Yeah. Sam.
Oh, I'm gonna do it all. Well, I will not do a 24-hour mountain bike race.
Why not?
It's broken me too many
I hear the promoter's
times.
a great
It's done
guy.
me wrong.
Yeah.
Every time it's like, this is such a cool event, which it is a very cool event. I will be there this year for sure.
Not as
Just
bachelor party boy.
not as bachelor party boy. Oh no, not this year. But no, I just don't want to do mountain bike. It's
Yeah.
just not my scene. And
Why?
I think that I maybe could get into it if I had the right equipment, but my back is so jacked up
Sure.
that every time I ride mountain bikes, my back is like, it's just not worth it. Whereas gravel, I'm okay, but even gravel, I have to be careful. If if I'm going to do a gravel event, I'm going to train mostly road and do some gravel, and then just expect that I'm going to be extra sore after that gravel event. You know, like you can't train, on the off road for that.
Yeah.
For me, with my back. So that's mostly why for mountain biking.
Yeah.
But I'll mix everything else in.
Let me do another segue. This is what I'm doing. I'm segueing our show here. About preparation. Classic Greg LeMond book from the 80s stated the official training starts on January 1st. He always said that. Hey, there's a grid for his training schedule, and it had like newbie, amateur, and professional, and like the hours. Oh my God, I got to show you guys the Greg LeMond book. The hours he would say putting in for the professional, just like junk miles. And we all know that might be a bit off as the sport has evolved, and we can all agree that things need to get started. At which intensity depends upon your goals for the season. But I want to talk to you guys about the things about getting ready. And yes, I've talked about, I ask at the beginning of the show, have you started training? Are you underway? But there are a lot of things to kind of make it happen. So do you guys map out things? Do you do it by feel, or do you just kind of play it by both? Is it a... for example, I'm a theater director. I know some theater directors who have the entire days from audition to opening night. Every single night is planned out. Every single thing. We are doing this day, this day, this day. I make it up once a week. I look at Sundays and I'm going, where are we? And I adjust as I go, and I make a week ahead. I know some people who are just like going, show up for the 4 hours or 3 hours of rehearsal every day, and I'm going to make it up as we go because I see things I want to work on. How do you guys approach your training? Is it all in one? Is it kind of made good, or is it I'm making it up as I go?
I think I personally like to kind of make it up as I go a little bit.
Do you?
I have that 3 day a week thing pretty planned out, but I like to switch things up. It depends. Some days, like Mondays for instance, I'll probably be my gym days because Mondays are just, I'm too tired to actually give full effort for a ride.
Sure.
But then Wednesdays and Fridays or Thursdays or Saturdays or whatever the day is, one of those days I'll pick like a specific Zwift workout so I can actually get like a structured intensity in there, and then the other one I'll kind of just like pick a ride, just so I can get a bit of a base mile in, but also if I want to add sprints in there, if I want to add hard effort climbs, I can do that.
How long are you planning to do 3 days a week? Is there a time when you're going to bump that up?
Well, what I'll probably begin to do is, instead of 3 days a week and one of them being a gym day, after a while what I did last year, and I mean, once again, not to my own horn here, but it seemed it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
After a while,
But you are striving for an upgrade too. So I mean, that's So I'm not being
Devil's advocate.
But what I was gonna say is, I'll probably lower my gym frequencies and begin to just focus very hard on riding, and that seems to get a good fitness base. And once I was talking about this the other day, once outside riding begins to take over, that's when I consider training actually have begun.
Oh, okay.
Because right now I
could do that. I can't. No, I mean, yeah.
But right now being inside, it's like I'm hitting numbers that I know are so different outside.
Yeah.
It's just controlling the bike is a whole other effort. Wind is a whole other effort. I usually hit higher numbers when I'm outside. It's just, it's a whole different thing that like this is really just to keep a fitness base. And then once outside time starts, it's like, that's when I can really hit the
I
peak.
can't physically do that. Paul, we can't do that at our age.
No, I have to stay on top of it. But like Jackson though, I know that this is just maintenance. You know,
Yeah.
that's all it is. It as opposed to what's the opposite?
Keeping the wheels on the
yeah,
wagon.
just sitting down and watching, junk TV or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for me personally, I know that now I have to pick up. My weaknesses are recovery as I get older. I have to really kind of focus on that, and then rest, as opposed to before I could do intensity, like one after another, and I could recover pretty fast. That's not an option for me. So, trying to get down and do more endurance, not a tremendous amount, but and then even staying off the bike a little bit just to recover.
Yeah.
Is vital, and that never was a problem before, but it is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I run myself to the ground. I've learned that in the last couple.
What kind of
years.
signals do you get when you're going too hard? I mean, you did mention you wanted to do 5 days of training a week the whole year long. I mean, how much of that is zone 1, zone 2?
Well, that all depends. Certainly, when it's a group ride, probably not. I can tailor that down a lot easier when you ride by yourself.
Yeah. You've
So,
never done
like
zone 1, zone 2 on a ride I've been on.
No.
I've never witnessed it.
No, I don't think I hit zone 2.
If I have, I went blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do zone 2 very well, but
Yeah.
I can
Doesn't
by
play nice.
myself.
So you're saying you don't play nice with others? is
No,
what
I
you're
don't.
saying.
But
Okay.
that's why we want to bash each other's heads
Yeah.
in. That's the fun part of
It
the
is.
whole thing. So, and I'm not going to say, sorry guys, go ahead. I'm in zone 2 today.
Yeah,
That sounds
yeah,
like
yeah.
shit cyclists say.
Yeah.
I'd stay with you, but I was in zone 2 today.
Right.
What's your this time of year between now and April, for example, Sam? What's your longest ride you're going to do? Now, and let's go now in March. Your longest endurance stretch.
Well, in March, I'll be in Maui.
So what do you? Well, I mean, what's your?
So when
longest
I'm
ride
there,
gonna
it'll 60 miles. That's
Okay.
the West Maui Loop. And I would say
It's
like
a little over 3 if you're
and it's because it's
good.
pretty hilly.
Yeah.
But I was
Oh,
doing
so
a lot
it's
of
in.
thinking about that today, like just with time constraints and all that, and it's I'm in such a better headspace doing shorter rides and focusing on recovery, just hit like high intensity and then recover, as opposed to being like, oh, I need to get in a 60-mile ride because we're going to be doing 90 miles. It's like, well, yeah, but if you're doing 90 miles with the guys, you're drafting for
Sure.
60 of those, right?
That's what I'm saying.
That's I know. And so I've totally changed it up, and I'm a big fan of shorter days and
Sure.
less stress on the system. And yeah, let your body recover and reap the rewards from the hard workouts, right?
I'm no milehead like the guys I had on about a couple of months ago, but I have found that my system is very diesel-like these days, and if the ride keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, I start getting better and better as the ride goes. I am not turning into an ultra-endurance cyclist, though. There's no way.
But I would say to this, too, it's like something that I've been focusing on. I'm really uncomfortable being at, like, let's say 450 watts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the screws start to come out after, like, a minute there, right?
Yeah.
But like, tell me to sit at 250 watts, I'll do that for hours
All day. Yeah.
And so it's one of those things, like I'm a lot like you, so we don't need to work on that system in my eyes.
Exactly,
Like physiologically we have that. What we need to work on is those short intensities. So I think you're going to make more gains if you do
I
that,
need the
right?
maximum endurance power. The 5-minute power is my
Yeah.
biggest thing. Trying to hang on Paul's
Because most
wheel
of
when
the
he just
hills
hits that
here
tempo.
too, unless
Yeah.
we're going to Mount Spokane, is going to be the 5-minute power.
Yeah.
Well, and then because of your age, you got to take that into granted. I mean, in consideration that there's a book called Fit After 50,
Yeah.
and they've done these studies and stuff that, like marathon runners and stuff, it's really easy at our age just to do endurance. And what you're talking about, you actually can because you've been doing this
Sure.
for a long time.
Yeah.
You need to buck that.
Yeah.
And you need, if you do interval and speed
Hit.
work, things will totally change. And not it won't take away your distance and your ability, but that comes natural with our age.
It does.
I mean,
Yeah.
it really does. And
Yeah.
so it's easy to slip in and be complacent with, hey, this is my gig.
Yeah.
If you want to perform, you got to get in that uncomfortable area and recover.
What if I want that gig?
I like comfort.
Yeah.
I like my
Soft
happy place.
pillows.
Yes. talk to me about. I mean, these are about taking stock and making changes and making things ready to go, because this is our time of year when we're going, okay, be your first race in March, be your first race in June. What do I need to take stock into and make sure is ready to rock before the year? So I want to talk to you guys about wellness, physical wellness. For example, I had a session with Sam last night, and today was 100%. I've talked about my shoulders on this show. Today was the first day I've been able to put my hands over my head.
Posture right now.
Well, I'm totally paranoid about it now. I am walking around like a preteen girl with a training bra. I'm like, I'm just like, Mama's little baby love
so up your.
Little baby love. I'm just terrible, but I can do this for the first time in a long time.
It's amazing.
And I didn't go down going, which is what we all do. So, I mean, I'm talking about areas of physical wellness. Paul, it's been documented on this show about your hamstring issues. Jackson, you've got a knee issue. Sam, you're probably fine because you just can work on yourself all day. Oh,
Yeah,
you're back.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
what are the steps to make sure those things are good? For example, I spent time with you yesterday, and while you were manipulating my shoulder into ways that I never thought could go, I was thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. Not the process, but this is ridiculous that as a cyclist, we tend to adapt to pain. We're used to a specific amount of pain daily. And so when we get these small issues, I keep thinking of Voldemort with his cancer. I mean, he was thinking, this is bad, but it's not that bad. It's just something's weird. It'll go away. And I've been dealing with these shoulder issues for 5, 6, 7 years now. And it's been getting progressively worse, but slowly worse that you don't know it. It's like when you grow older in the mirror, you don't see it. I still look like I did when I was 21. And then you see a picture of you're 21. You're like, Jesus, how does my wife still sleep with me? But you don't notice those things. And until you get to the point where there's something like, I come home from a ride and I can't lift my bike into the studio to get it into this room. And I'm going, wait a minute, something's wrong. And it wasn't my air pressure. Don't give me shit about that. but what are when, as cyclists, we ignore pain. That's our job. That's what we do when we're on the bike. We push it out of the way. Mm-hmm. At what point do you get to the point where you realize, and this is the time to do it, I got to get this shit fixed? Is anybody making those steps, or you guys just still a river in Egypt?
Well, what I usually do,
denial,
and I mean, what Sam and I were talking about before we even went on, was I have a knee issue, and I recently got some new shoes for Christmas, and immediately I noticed that I had some sort of knee pain. For me, it doesn't require a lot. I like to jump on
Jackson, who made those shoes?
Giro. And this is not of the fault of Giro whatsoever.
No,
this is
it's cleat placement.
Yeah. And it's been 3-4 years since I've even gotten any sort of fit.
Yeah.
So things have changed, and for me with this knee, I mean, you and Paul, Dad, have seen that on a ride, if any sort of pain begins to start, I back off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm somebody who likes to get on it quickly, just because I know that later down the line, if I don't, it'll be way worse.
Yeah. But my question is in terms of that, you're in your 20s. That shouldn't be an ongoing injury. You did not have something where a car drove over your knees.
Right.
Nobody can prove it. But but this shouldn't be a ongoing injury. Mm-hmm. Unless, it's from years of soccer abuse or something like that.
And it very well could be. I mean,
don't you think that maybe there's a time and a way in which to remedy this forever? Or at least until you're our age?
And, well, the tough thing is, though, it's, do I go to a doctor and possibly require surgery on a specific area of my body? Yeah. Or do I just look for other ways to fix it? For instance, this is an injury that pops up bi-yearly. Like, it doesn't really come up that often, but if and when it does, that's something that I like to be on very quickly.
Yeah.
And I mean, at 23, I don't know if I want to go under the knife so
Wouldn't
quickly.
PT.
But that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm leaning toward is, but what if that flared up? How bummed would you be if it flared up at stage 2 of a stage race that you were leading?
And that's why I hop on it quickly. So if I begin to feel it on a training ride, I immediately can fix that problem to know that if I'm going to a race, I'm not going to feel that. That's what I have done on all of big rides. When we went to BWR, I made sure that everything was in the right place. So 100 and some miles in, I didn't feel some sort of knee pain, and I never did.
Okay.
So,
you guys talk to me about, Sam, you're probably ongoing with this kind of stuff. You've got a more probably...
I have to be honest. Like, I think it's just like...
Or is it like
how
the bike
clean
owner
is
who's
the
got no
dentist's
bikes?
Teeth,
Yeah,
It's like things like that. And so it's like, man, I've had back issues for years, and it wasn't until this last fall that I was like, I had another flare up, like where it was, God, no, it was the time trial. I had to miss a race, which
Donated money to.
I donated money
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
because I was just, I was like having a hard time turning pedals.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is stupid. I am 31 and I'm like unable to race a bike on some random weekend because my back hurts?
Yeah.
That's stupid. Honestly, most of these things, and there's a lot of exceptions out there, are easily remedied. And that's like your shoulders, right? So for me, it was like I finally made the jump at that, and I've now been doing all of my exercises, and I'm way stronger than I was last year, which I'm excited to see how that rolls over to actually riding outside next year.
Sure.
Because I have had no upper body for, I don't know, the foreseeable past.
Yeah.
Ever since I became a roadie, look like T-Rex out there.
Yeah.
And it's like
we're terrible about that.
totally, because we just like put it off. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do it next year.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I'm gonna deal with my bike work next year, and then something fails, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and
Oh
it's
my-
the same thing.
My core sucks, bro. I really got to work on it.
I'll do it in the winter.
But I'm going to do a 90 miler today or
Yeah.
something like that, which is nothing. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't engage. And, then you see a video of, back in the day with Peter Sagan, who's doing the splits, and his nose, he's leaning forward and his nose is like an inch off the ground. He's
Yeah.
like,
Chinese splits do
Is that
that.
how it's supposed to be?
maybe that's why.
see, and that's why I focus on some sort of gym time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not getting
Yeah.
splits all the way to the ground like
Yeah.
Peter Sagan, but I like to work on it a little at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but now is the time to do that. Like truly in the winter, and I started it in the fall, like heavily, but in the winter is, man, a perfect time to be doing all of those gains and get yourself ready for when you step out into the spring. So you don't have like what most commonly we have like spring knees when we get to cycling, and it's like your knees kind of hurt because you're cranking on the pedals and starting to do more miles. Yeah.
Mine
Or
sound like a grapple
saddle sores.
Oh,
They only happen in the spring, but then once I wear in my ass, then I'm fine. That's a thing?
I'll
No.
tell you from last year's experience, they do not, people.
That does not.
Can
That's
find a
not
good
thing.
chamois cream now.
Yes.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
I usually don't put it on before
good chamois,
anything
a good
over in like
saddle.
a 2-hour
Oh my-
ride. But
Yeah.
yeah. Paul, talk to me about physical tweaks.
Well, I know my shortcomings and the places I need to work on, and I've expressed it quite a few times
Sure.
here. But I think the hard part for me is implementing those, making that change to do those things, because it's not fun. Cycling's fun for me.
Yeah.
And that's
the hardest part. Yeah.
It's like it's taken away from my riding time. But also some of it is financially. There's, when you go to a PT, and which I should.
Sure.
But a friend of mine, Jake, who's in town, that he's a great guy, great mountain biker and
You can
everything.
plug him. Jake McBurns. Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
He's a rolfer, and
Yeah.
but he said, the amazing thing about cyclists are they're willing to dump $100 for the stupidest things, but
Yeah.
they won't go in and get their body work done for $100.
Yeah.
He goes, that's the motor. It's not the bike.
Yeah. It cracks me
great
up.
way
It
to
cracks me up all the time. I'm like,
idiots.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I'll have somebody come in for a bike fit, and I'm not kidding you. Last week, I'm like, this is a nice bike. He goes, yeah. I had to drop a pretty penny for it. I'm like, how long you had it? And he goes, 2 years. I'm like, this guy had been
Haven't
riding
fitted,
on
yeah.
his bike in the most atrocious form for 2 years. And I'm like, why didn't you come in like a year ago to get your bike fit? And he goes,
Is it a Pinarello? Was he a
Was
dentist?
it dentist?
Was he a dentist?
not going there.
Accountant?
And I'm just like,
Cardiologist?
it's like, that is amazing what cyclists will put up with. And
Yeah.
like, it's the cost of anything.
Yeah.
You know, they just are not willing to help their own bodies, but they're willing to dump money into.
Yeah.
Well, it comes down, and I'll take it into my trade, that when people are willing to spend tons of money on a custom house, when you say that you need outlets at this point, well, how much does that cost? Because outlets are necessary,
Yeah.
but there's no show, and it's just a plate and an outlet, but you need those, and no one wants to look at them
until you're running extension cords and power.
And they're like,
hubs.
there should be an outlet here, but it's all about the glamour and glitz, and that's just humanity, and doesn't even happen in our sport. But I think we all want people to see what we spend our money on. But the cool thing is when you got these people who come up with trashy bikes that are in position, and they clean the clock out of these people, and that's actually the motor is the important thing.
And that's just
and I don't abide by that.
Yeah.
That's what cracks me up. It's like, I mean, bike fits, like, and yes, I am plugging my own thing here, but it's really not that expensive in comparison to like how much you'll drop on a bike or new shoes. It's it's a third of the price of like a decent pair of new shoes.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Well, and I think one thing that's also super interesting is that that's how cycling, media-wise, kind of portrays itself.
Yeah.
I guess, like, and this is not at all bashing GCN whatsoever, but because they do kind of play both sides of it all. But I want anyone in this room to name me one video made by GCN that is about fixing your body.
Mm-hmm.
They do have some.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it's kind of hidden. You have to go deep into
Yeah.
like they have like workouts for stretching and that type of thing. But
Yeah.
it's on Wahoo.
Yeah.
You can get all that stuff on Wahoo with
And
GCN stuff. But
The thing is, there are those videos. Like I said, this is not at all meant to look for that.
It's not upfront.
Exactly. But there are quite a bit on how to improve your bike. But then one of their presenters, James Losley William, will come out just hammered. Like not like drunk, but just like super
That's this
fit.
show.
Yeah.
With this show.
And you'll be probably looking at him going, how do I get to look like that?
Yeah.
But
Stay in your lane, GCN. We're the drinkers.
but it's
take
just
it down.
I think it's a really interesting way of how I mean, it goes back to it. Cycling's built on money, just like every other sport.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm blown away at the fact that, like, you know, how cool does your Pinarello? Sorry, not a Pinarello.
Colnago.
You can say
Colnago,
BMC. There's two of us in here.
How cool does your bike look when you're just in awful form on top of it? We've all seen those riders ride by, and it's like you don't notice how cool that bike is. You notice how awful that rider looks. It's like, fix your body, bro.
Yeah. And you don't.
Go to PT.
I'm not at the point ever where I will comment on somebody's positions like your saddle's too low or something like that. Because that is just the biggest step into douchebaggery of all time.
Well,
I do that all the time.
That's a right.
Well,
Well,
I
that's
do that all the
it's
time. I'll go
your
to somebody.
job.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll go to somebody and I'll be like, lower your saddle at least 2 centimeters.
Because you have
That's what
you
you
have
do.
credentials.
And then you
Okay,
hand them a
okay,
business
okay,
card.
okay.
Yeah.
You just go, and by the way, here's my card. You know.
But I also think though that's a right of like. Not this is probably going to be the oldest thing I say, but like, I feel like that's a rite of passage in the community of cycling. You have to figure out yourself
absolutely.
what's wrong with your fit,
Yeah.
and then go to the right places.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going off topic, but do you think we've become a culture of people who are so sensitive to critique that they won't ask for assistance?
Absolutely. You have to know everything.
Don't
and
tell
if
me.
you don't, it's
Don't tell
it's
me
a
I'm going to
failure.
quit.
Yeah.
You gave me advice without solicitation, so I'm going to quit. I mean,
I get
I
what
think
you
there's
mean.
both sides of it, mind you.
What I also think though is
God,
super
I sounded like Trump.
what I also think is super interesting about cycling though is, and this is what I found through my own experience, is that cycling is definitely about the people that you know. Because
Sure.
it is, oh my God, it is an expensive sport. And and kind of finding those ways about figuring out the different kind of pricings and things
Yeah.
like that. It's definitely one of those things. I mean, for instance, I would never have gotten a bike fit if I did not
Totally.
know you.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's like, I
Yep.
think that's an interesting part of the sport.
Yeah.
But Paul, you had something?
Well, I was just thinking, on that is that, like this podcast is kind of a source that people will come to you, and I've had it for years. I worked at a bike shop and I've been around riding bikes. People ask me for advice,
Yeah.
and then I can give it to them, as opposed to like, hey, your position's all fucked.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
type of
right.
thing.
Yeah.
And that, if somebody comes to you, that's a different thing. Say, hey, listen. And now we have a source. I mean, when I did bike fits, when I was in the bike shop in '89, we just had the fit kit
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
adjust the cleat and you had 2 rods and
Yep.
you're just floating.
Yeah.
And you did the whole. I mean, it's so more
Plumb bob
advanced.
off the knee.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, some
Yeah.
of those rules you still
They're still,
you
they
abide
still
by.
apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
makes sense.
sent Sam this guy down on, which I like this YouTube channel is NorCal, and there's a NorCal 2, and it's this guy who's
Oh, yeah.
worked on the camera, behind the camera, and he played baseball in college, and he got up to 250 pounds, and he's behind the camera, and Jeff, who owns NorCal, that whole deal, it's like, we're doing a couch to crit thing.
Yeah.
And that series has started, and it's pretty good. But he goes to get fitted because Jeff, being a seasoned, and he's a very good Cat 1 and races on the national crit level. He rides for Mike Bites. Put him in this position, and then they went to this guy who, Sam, I said, have you seen this guy? And he's a fitter down in Northern California.
Yep.
And Sam actually knows the guy personally.
Yeah.
And it's like, and some of the things that he went through is like, that's what I did when I did bike fits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like they just kind of like raised things generally and
Not massively
Yeah.
jack people back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a slow.
But there's
process.
way
Yeah.
better equipment than what I had.
back in the day.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I had no schooling, and here's somebody who
yeah.
the resources are there. I think if we can help people, they'll more likely stay with cycling
Yeah.
and like it if they're in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
So let me take you guys to the next phase of preparation for this season, the mental element. I mean, this is my wheelhouse, but
This is me at 3 a.m.
yeah, Bing! Yeah, I'm awake.
With a couple of drinks.
Oh my god! Yeah, the mental wellness element of the sport, which I think gets overlooked. It's we talk about this toughness and things like that, and ways to conquer the sport. I know that my old friend David McQuillan with the Sufferfest in Wahoo does a mental training thing, and I haven't done it yet, and I probably should be the poster child for doing it, but
Well, you think it's going to be Pandora's box?
yeah, it's just gonna open, everything's gonna escape. The demons are out. Yeah. It's like the Mummy,
Oh my
Don't
gosh.
say the words. But by the way, nobody comes up to me and talks to me about the podcast. Maybe it's just because they're terrified of the fact that I might snap it.
See, that's so interesting. I was saying the other day that people came up to me and did it too.
about the show.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Man, I
comes up
had
to me.
people text me last week.
Nobody talks. to me
I'll
about
tell
it.
you why.
That's hilarious.
Because
They're all afraid of you.
he knows me. I'm on the show. I've known him for over 30 years. And I see him at Super One. He's trying to dodge me. He's like, oh, God, it's Paul. He's taking his cart. It's like a full, I think he just pumped out
Outside
like
of this
900
room.
watts behind that thing. His cart going, oh, shit. I have to talk.
That was
Outside
a
of this
character.
room, he's
That
a
was a bit.
total like introvert.
But
Anyways, you were asking a question.
talk to me about the mental wellness things. Are there things that you guys are? Is there a process? Is there even a thought given to it? Are you guys just
Oh
like,
my God.
no, I'm good. I mean, I'm going to just keep being me, and I'm going to just keep racing my bike the way I race my bike. I will. I mean, I don't want to sound like the overtly lunatic in the room, but I have gone from when I started cycling. Everything. I was young. I was a bigger kid. In terms of size and strength. And so early on, cycling came naturally to me, and I did well. And then as I progressed, as I kept training harder and harder and harder, I progressed through the sport. I was Olympic Training Center. I was racing Cat 2s and stuff like that at a very competitive level. And so it never occurred to me that it was, I never had that down. I did have a bout with Epstein-Barr in my 17, 18-year-old years, but then I came home from the training center. I trained really hard. I worked with a doctor, and I got totally psyched up, and I was flying at the 88 Olympic trials selection. And then life came in. I went to college. I was on the rowing team, things like that. Still a great rowing career. Everything went really well. And then I stopped for a while, and then I came back to
Then
cycling.
Jackson happened.
No, yeah, it was even before Jackson.
Yeah,
I came back to cycling, And I and that mental shock of not being at the arrowhead of the Peloton was a eye-opening experience. And it happened again and again and again, to the point where now I have taught myself. I named my fucking show after being
Inadequate.
the middle, not I don't the group, the mass, the stories within the field.
Right.
And so I'm constantly dealing with that mental hurdle and trying to understand that it's okay to think of yourself as a person who could do well in these events. Am I the only one wrestling with these demons?
No.
Jackson's nodding.
But I think it's...
And I wonder if the people at home or who are listening to this show right now are dealing with those demons.
It's easy, and I think it's an individual thing. I had a block from 89 to like 93 where things just didn't go right.
Sure.
I was like the Geraint Thomas. I was hitting the pavement in 89 like so many times. And some of them was my fault, but it's just like, this is just weird.
Yeah.
And to the point where I worked at this bike shop, and my boss is like, you're scabbed up. It doesn't help, from race crashing. Doesn't help business at all.
Doesn't help sell bikes.
How'd you do that? Oh, last week was here. This week, it doesn't encourage cycling. So you kind of tongue and I love it. And but I think for me, as an individual, to me, it's like, I know I can conquer this. I just have to figure out, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
And that's just my nature. I mean, since I was a little kid, I always have to figure out, okay, I physically don't have the ability that any of you guys have in this room. To me, I had to come up with a different strategy.
Sure.
What are my strengths? What are their weaknesses? And same when you race, and you talked about earlier in racing, it's the same old people every week that you face.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, okay, I got close to this guy. How can I get above them? And then once I get, there's another notch. I'm always doing that. That helps me mentally. Is like, there's always you'll never be the best. You'll never in this sport ever be the best. Even the best are not the best.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with regional racing. If you stick in regional racing, you can clean a clock. You go nationally,
Next
and you're
step.
like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't even hang on the wheel in a crit.
Yeah.
So until you learn, until you start saying, okay, where did I go wrong? I'm doing stupid things because that's how I could do when I'm leader of the pack. I'm not the leader of the pack. I'm a pack filler now. How do I get beyond that pack filler? What is it, strategy?
Do you guys take into account last year's data at all? Like, do you look at your FTP from last year? Do you look at your Strava numbers from last year? Do you look at your, last year in April, I hit this climb at this pace and I nailed that. Do you guys go back to that climb next year and hit it again and see if you can hit it? Does anybody have those numbers that they try to roll against?
I mean, personally, no. Just because, numbers for me, I love to see in the moment, but afterwards I put them aside, because I think that each and every single ride, this is how I felt every time we've gone out, every time I've ridden my bike, each and every single ride is itself a different day. I'm going to feel different every single time. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to look back at my numbers about that stuff. I mean, I was asked one time, what are your sprint numbers? And I said, I don't know, because I don't.
Hopefully faster than the person next to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's just because I always think that if I look at numbers, I'll get in my head about stuff. And that's a whole thing about me in this sport, is that I don't care about the past. It's just what's coming up or what's right now. Because when I played soccer, it was all about what's in the past. Mm-hmm. What did you do poorly in the past? It was never what did you do well, what did you do poorly is what was so heavily focused on.
Wow. Yeah.
And so now I have to forget when I got second, that 3 years ago me would have probably ruined my entire day over it. Mm-hmm. But current me was like, all right, it's done. I got second. That's a top 3. That's a big deal. And so focusing on the positives of that stuff was really important for me. Caring about the past is just, it's done. I can't, as they say, you can't take it with you.
Yeah.
So
You know what helps you? that day, you dropped an F-bomb when you came across the line. It's the first time
All
I've
that
ever heard my son
anger
say.
was released.
First time I ever heard him say, I was standing next to his fiance, and I went, "That's my boy."
Well, and she was worried that I was going to be upset about that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a thing that I just had to say, you know,
Got
it's
through
done.
it.
I
Got
can't
through
control it anymore.
So you are mental training. Let's be honest.
Well, I've gotten to a point in my life where I have been told so many times, you weren't good then. So now I think none of it matters because I'm better than
it
everybody
wasn't
right
me.
now.
Don't look at me, Sam.
First off, where did he come from?
It was not me. I
Where
don't
did he
know.
come from?
He's not.
He's not. He's way too mature to be at least even amongst this group.
I know, right?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Who's
Skips a
this
generation.
guy?
maybe.
It must
Like,
be that. Yeah.
No, my dad doesn't listen this far into the show, so I can just say my dad's batshit crazy. So
Okay, so it's not. It didn't skip a generation. I would say second off, I'm with him. Last year's numbers don't matter. What I can do this year does, and like it's totally situational, which is what's so fun about our sport. You know, it's like you could attack at a different time and do better, or whatever. So, but mentally, like how I'm training this year is, man, I was doing cold showers, and. You know what? I was doing that because I was like, HTFU.
You what?
know?
You were? Now you're
exactly. Because there's like, I've been doing a lot of research into this because I'm nerdy and I like to do that stuff. Especially
Have you seen
like
Wim Hof?
physiological.
The guy's a kook.
He is. But I wasn't looking at that guy.
Oh, okay.
I was more thinking like it's something that I dread, so I want to like do that, right? Because I want to be uncomfortable.
I want to be
I'm gonna
unhappy.
I'm gonna be unhappy and uncomfortable in a race, so I want to experience that.
Yeah.
It's terrible
It
for
sucks.
physiologically. Like I'm talking actually physiologically, it's really
Really?
bad for recovery to do cryotherapy. Turns out. So I'm not doing that anymore, and I'm going to be fast AF next year. But I am going to probably do a few just to remind myself the hell that it is. You know,
Ice baths.
I feel like that's healthy.
The ice baths for recovery. No.
No.
Same thing. No.
So
really?
inflammation is the only thing that will help with.
Really?
Yeah. There's proteins that are created naturally in your system during recovery. And like fast forward a bunch of jargon. If you are doing freezing that, nothing is being restored.
Okay.
Right? So,
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Well, there you go.
But it'll help temporarily with like inflammation and stuff.
Wow. Do you want to? Do you have a quick tip with Bike Fit Sam brought to us by our friends at Ambassador Cycling? I know it's super important. You guys check ambassadorcycling.com to start the process to the proper fit. And but before I even forget, I do want to thank you and Tailwind for even just starting me on the road. I mean, it was honestly like I was waiting for this crunch to happen and me just go. Oh, but it didn't happen until like this morning when I reached for my car keys and went, that didn't hurt. I
6 years later.
those are my car keys, and it doesn't hurt. What the hell? I'm gonna do my stretching every day. So big thanks, man. So let us know what you got this week, Sam.
Yeah, so I mean, I was actually thinking of along the train of shoulders, right? So let's fit some handlebars. And so finding the right size handlebars, I'm a good example of somebody who I ride a 61, right? Because I got long legs. So on a 61, 44s are the standard bar. Well, I have very dainty, narrow shoulders. I'm an Aero AF homie. And so if you measure, it's called your acromion process, right? And it's basically just right in the middle of your shoulders on both sides. If you measure from point to point, that's going to tell you what you should be, right? So if you're a middle number, maybe you want to round up if you like your grip a little bit wider, but if you want to be a little bit more racy, you can round down. Man, that'd be a 1 centimeter difference, which isn't really going to make a difference. Wow. But like for you in particular, you need a wider. You need like a 44, because if you're brought in here, it's just promoting that, like rounded shoulder posture. Right, and for me, I was like
always wasn't a 44. I'm gonna have to look and see what these are.
Yeah, you ride a 56.
Yeah,
I bet
you
you're
measuring
42.
outside?
I bet I'm on a 42.
I bet you are. So that's like what
outside or not center to center. That's Janelli. So outside to
so
outside.
center to center of the bar.
Center to center.
So in a lot of the bars, check it, because on your hoods will be 42 and then 44 in the drop. Right, it depends. So like for you, you probably want 44 and 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Because
I
most
have
of your
to look
time
at
is
that.
spent on the hoods.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You're going to be like a 42 and just spotting.
Yeah.
I'm a 42.
Guarantee
42.
it's
Mhm.
Probably
Yeah.
not there on my bike.
I'm just
Yeah, because you're
44.
I'm
you're
swole
58.
and not very arrow.
A 61. You're definitely.
Simply
Yeah, check
huge.
it.
But what's tough with mine
Is you're
that,
integrated.
well, not fully integrated,
Okay.
but switching that bar out, you can only get it through B and
gosh,
C.
the price
Mhm.
too. Yeah, and that's the thing. Oh man,
I know.
yeah.
I know. But so that's why
Mine aren't. I'm good old.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours would be a
Dem
lot
clamp.
easier.
Yeah.
But like I would just say that, something like that, look into it, check your number, see if you're right. If not, might want a wider bar or a
There we go.
narrower bar.
There we go. Quick news roundup opinion, gentlemen. First of all, a cab officially with Astana. We all can agree, yes or no.
I don't know. It's
He
tough.
wasn't in the picture. He wasn't in the.
Yeah.
Then that's
I
a
don't
no.
know.
Then that's a no.
There are statements out there saying that Vinokurov says that he was not there in time for the preseason photo, so maybe he's
You
still
would think
riding.
he would have a
Pretty big deal.
Yeah, press release on that.
By
There's
now.
not.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yet. Nothing. Yet.
Yeah, I think they're still ironing.
But when
things
he
out.
went to Quick Step, took a few years for it to like,
No,
years,
yeah,
a few,
yeah.
like a
Few
little while.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope that. Yeah. Next story, these are fast forward versions because we're 127 into the show. Are we all okay with this? Garrett Thomas has admitted that it will take him some time to get used to wearing sun god sunglasses after years of his beloved Oakley racing jackets. Are we okay with this, or should Sun God immediately make some white frames?
I think I'm okay with it. They weren't the coolest glasses in the world, if I'll be fair.
Wow.
I want no
Yeah,
one in
because
this
Gooder
room. What?
are the
Yeah.
coolest glasses.
What?
Yeah.
I want no one in this room though thinking
Way to
that
sponsor
two separate
plug.
exactly. I want no one in this room thinking that any two separate lensed glasses
Are
on the
cool.
bike are really that cool.
I'm telling you, it's going to be hard to see Garrett in dark framed glasses. If Sun God could just grab a set, tape off the lenses, and shoot him with a spray can of white, I would be a happy guy.
They probably
That's how
make
Garrett's
they probably
supposed
make
to
a
look.
white frame,
It's
Yeah.
not
They-
going to be Garrett out there next year.
I know it pisses me off.
especially in their orange kit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's Brain Victorianos. Cyclocross round off questions. Tom Pitcock's crash showing off or genuine mistake? Paul.
Yeah, I think he caught himself off guard and was showing off.
You think he was
He tried to
showing off?
deny it
I
in
think
the
he
interview.
was
Did you see that?
Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
was trying.
He was
do
trying
one
to
of
play
those.
it off. Yeah, he was doing a small little tail whip.
Yeah.
And,
That sucks.
and then he landed. And the thing is somebody did the exact same thing in the first
Yeah.
2-3 laps, but farther back.
Yeah.
And they caught it, and he did the same thing in the same
But didn't
jump
go
with a
over
little
the
tail.
fence.
No, but he
Yeah.
went down.
Yeah. I think there was a rut there.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
there was,
landed
and he
in.
landed
Yeah.
in the rut, and that's.
Today's result is flatting all that can stop Wout van Aert. Anybody watch
Yeah.
today?
I watched
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Well, it would have been a great sprint, and I give kudos to Mathieu van der Poel because he didn't celebrate at the end. He says, "How do you feel
Yeah.
good about beating
Yeah.
somebody who got a flat?"
Yeah.
Two things about that. Talk to me about these guys sustaining the speed for the classics.
Jesus.
For the classics.
I think
for the fall
Van der Poel
classics.
will.
I mean, the spring
Because
classics.
he's building.
Yeah.
So I think that he
Wout?
will. I think Wout's out.
I think it's really interesting. I think it's the other way around. We saw
I
how
agree.
we saw how Vanderpool coped last year in the tour.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he'll peak early and then just be like shit for the rest of the year.
His focus is the world's cyclocross. That's what
Yeah.
he's aiming for.
Mm.
And as it stands right now, Wout's in his way, and that's only a couple of weeks away.
Wout's not going to do it. I don't think.
No, I think he is.
He is.
Yeah,
really.
but Pidcock is not.
Pidcock is not.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think Wout is a good contestant for Worlds, and I think Vanderpool, who knows where he'll be then, but I think that he's going to peak for all the spring classics.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think after watching what Wout did in the tour, day after day after day, I don't think he's going to falter in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Vanderpool, who just did the opposite. He just overextended himself, and I think that's why he had a bad year.
I wonder how many more days that we're going to see these boys ride cross. I wonder if it'll
I
end.
think,
up
I think
into
those days are
Worlds.
numbered.
I think so,
I
too.
mean, he means year after year
Ever.
after
Oh,
year.
yeah.
I think they're going to realize that they're getting paid heavily to do one thing, and that is to dominate in the road
They get
season.
paid massively
Oh, I
for
bet
the
they do.
start.
Yeah, yeah.
Massively.
And this has
Sven
been
Nys has said this is ridiculous what the start start.
What-
He doesn't like it.
This has been one of the best cyclocross seasons I've seen in
Yeah,
a long
yeah.
time, though. It's been exciting.
But it's
Now,
only 3
not
guys.
For, not for the other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
other guys
yeah.
are getting left in the dust.
Yeah. Little-
Poor Ellie Iserbit.
I know
yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm the best in the world.
Yeah.
I'm the 4th best in the world.
Yeah.
It's just got to be brutal. So there we go. Last last closing question. This one I think is funny because it's going to be for Paul. Jumbo Visma switching from Shimano to SRAM. Yay, nay, or meh? Jackson,
Meh, I don't really care that much.
you don't really care?
No, that's another big one, but I don't know if it's on topic. So
What?
the UAE is no longer on Campagnolo.
No,
That's
they're not.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
bigger news.
That's huge.
They
and they haven't even made an
SRAM.
announcement.
No, they're
They're
Shimano.
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 They didn't
Yeah.
even make an
They
announcement.
did earlier in the year.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a while
Yeah.
ago then.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah, it was
November,
early
I
in the
think,
winter.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, yay, nay, or meh?
Meh.
Meh.
I'm Shimano.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
you'd
so
prefer that
SRAM,
over the
it's
two?
like meh,
Yeah.
fine.
Uh-oh. Paul,
I like it because
you
that's,
like SRAM.
Yeah.
I do
You-
because
I
they're
like
the
SRAM
opposite.
10
I don't think
speed.
it's better than Shimano. I don't think it's better than Shimano by any means. I think Shimano performs better, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah.
And I don't like everything about SRAM.
What?
Like
You
like that
bash
SRAM
my
is
Shimano
pushing-
every day.
yeah.
one
SRAM is
by,
pushing
and then
out,
the smaller compact
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
That
yeah.
stuff wears out fast.
And their mechanical is no more.
Well, the
Yeah.
same as
They're
Shimano.
slowly phasing
Shimano's
that
the
out.
same thing.
They have
105 is there's no
mechanical
mechanical 105.
I didn't
They're
know
doing the
that.
same thing.
Fun
Yeah,
fact.
it's
Yeah,
all
electronic.
going digital.
So
You learn
yeah,
something new.
so they're all in the same, going the same direction, which is sad because it's just making bikes too
Just
expensive.
rim brakes.
Well, even if outside of that, just
Zeros
like
a
getting
month,
rid
man.
of mechanical stuff is just ridiculous that we all
Yeah.
have to do electronic. And I know it performs really well, but for somebody, the average guy, do they really need that?
Yeah.
Unless you're Dennis. But nevertheless, I hope he doesn't have the problems that he could have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
or they
especially in
have.
cross. I was thinking of Wout, especially in cross, having to suddenly go mid-season from a Shimano ride to a SRAM ride. I mean, that's a different shifting when you're flying around a corner and you have to get into gear fast. That's it. That's gonna. That's
He
that's
said
a
it
learning
could be a
curve.
Perhaps
problem.
An entirely different lever.
But I can
Yeah.
guarantee you had SRAM before.
Oh, I'm
this,
sure he
like,
was training on it.
January
Yeah,
1st.
exactly.
But
yeah.
he did say, yeah, it'll probably take some time to get used to.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Well, and they're probably one by. So realistically,
I think
Yeah.
he has 2 by on that.
Really?
in cross,
Wow,
that's
nice.
He may.
that's
I-
really
Those guys are
surprising.
putting such watch
Yeah.
down. You never know. So
Yeah, I mean, if
Depends
it,
on the course.
yeah, and if it is a one by, it's just a lever situation. It's
Yeah.
not you having to switch into 2 rings.
Sure.
If it is 2 by, I'd be shocked.
yeah.
But
I'll have to
2 by
look.
is easy. You just hit both at the same
Yeah.
time. and
but
it'll
with
go
the
back.
with the amount of jarring they're taking on those cross rides, I'm surprised that they'd be on a 2.
I wish my gravel bike was a 2x. I do.
I did it. I did it 2 by.
I don't like 1x
Yeah.
because especially on the road sections of some of these longer gravel races,
Mhm.
I want to put it into a big gear and go
Crank.
until
make
my
up
knees go
for the
pop.
rock gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid rockwards. Yeah. So there we go. You guys, we did it. Once again, we closing out another episode of the Packfiller Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, and check us all out at packfiller.com. Jackson, Sam, and Paul, once again, thanks, you guys.
Thank you,
you.
Pat.
Thank you.
And we will catch you guys next week. Except, Paul, you're going to be in sunny
Yeah,
Palm.
Palm Desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
We're
Skyping in?
going to get him
We'll
on
see.
one of the 2
It-
nights.
I told him he has the liberty to pull the plug because
Yeah.
Zoom doesn't transfer very well.
Yeah.
So.
No.
We'll maybe
I
put
don't
his
have
face on the monitor.
vacuums or dogs or pots and pans, so I'm
Hey,
That's
you're
all-
already
I
better
I got
than
a
Diva.
studio little
Carson.
place with a little private
Yeah.
pool and everything. So
Pretty
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I
So I should be able to minimize.
You know what I would do, honestly, if I had that place and we logged into the show, I'd be like, "Hey, nice to hear me, okay?" No, Paul's not gonna work out. All right,
Okay, yeah.
I'll
go
just
hang
crack open another St. Bernardus.
out. Yeah.
We'll catch you guys next week.
All right, bye.